This is the Watchtower Report, where strategy meets reality. The week of July 14th to 20th, 2025, revealed new fault lines in global power dynamics, trade wars reigniting, silent conflicts flaring, and quiet diplomacy shifting regional balances. Let's break down the key events shaping the global stage. Cyprus Anniversary. We begin in the Eastern Mediterranean. July 20th marked 51 years since Turkey's 1974 military intervention in Cyprus, a move that split the island in two and still haunts regional diplomacy. In the south, Greek Cypriots held remembrance ceremonies under the wail of air raid sirens. Meanwhile, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan attended celebrations in the Turkish-occupied north, reinforcing Ankara's enduring presence on the island. This wasn't just symbolic. It was a clear signal. Reunification remains stalled, and NATO's internal divisions continue to fester. The ghost of Cyprus, once a Cold War flashpoint, remains a living reminder of Europe's unresolved borders. US-EU tariff escalation. Next, to the transatlantic trade front. The United States announced a sweeping 30% tariff hike on EU and Mexican imports, effective August 1st. In response, the European Union threatened 72 billion euros in retaliatory tariffs, signaling a major economic standoff between historic allies. While European equities remained stable, bond markets wavered, driven by fears of political interference in central banks. At the core, this isn't just about tariffs, it's about sovereignty, industrial policy, and the slow dismantling of post-war economic cooperation. A rekindled trade war between the US and EU threatens not just supply chains, but the very idea of Western economic unity in an era of multipolar realignment. US strikes in Somalia. Quietly, without major headlines, US forces have conducted 51 precision airstrikes in Somalia so far in 2025, averaging 2 strikes per week. The targets? Primarily Al-Shabaab and other jihadist networks threatening regional security and maritime trade near the Gulf of Aden. The mission? Counter-terrorism and maintaining a forward presence on the African coast. But behind the drone strikes lies a deeper truth. The US remains militarily engaged in Africa, even as it pivots toward Asia. Somalia is not just a battlefield, it's a chess piece in the global contest for maritime choke points, influence, and future stability. Putin's war in Ukraine. In Ukraine, Vladimir Putin remains defiant. Despite battlefield fatigue, international sanctions, and mounting domestic costs, the Kremlin shows no signs of backing down. Yet Russia's global influence is quietly eroding. Once a central force in global energy and diplomacy, Moscow is now increasingly dependent on China and India, buyers of discounted oil, but also shapers of Russia's economic future. Meanwhile, ties with NATO are frozen, relationships with Europe are toxic, and Russia's traditional leverage, fear, is losing power. Analysts warn that this isolation may push Putin into riskier moves, especially as internal pressure builds and global patience wears thin. Modi's diplomatic outreach, in contrast, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on the move, literally. From July 23rd to 26th, Modi will visit the UK and Maldives, aiming to strengthen economic partnerships and deepen Indo-Pacific engagement. The visits are part of India's larger strategy, position itself as a balancing power between East and West, and a regional leader in maritime and security affairs. With tensions simmering in the South China Sea and the West embroiled in internal disputes, India is seizing the moment, widening its footprint, diversifying its alliances, and shaping the 21st century power map. EU Central Asia investment. Finally, in Samarkand, European and Central Asian leaders met for a pivotal summit, announcing a $13.2 billion investment package aimed at upgrading infrastructure, economic integration, and human rights cooperation. The initiative reflects Europe's pivot eastward, seeking influence in a region traditionally dominated by Russia and China. For Central Asia, it's a chance to diversify its partnerships and attract capital. For Europe, it's an attempt to project power beyond its borders without hard military force. Samarkand, once a Silk Road hub, is again a crossroads, this time of global strategy. So what do these events tell us? Trade tensions are rising between allies once bound by shared purpose. Regional conflicts persist, from Somalia to Ukraine, dragging major powers into long games with uncertain ends. And amid the chaos, nations like India and Central Asia are quietly redrawing the map of alliances. But perhaps most tellingly, old wounds like Cyprus still bleed, old powers like Russia still resist, and new powers like India are stepping into the void. This has been your global briefing for the week of July 14th to 20th. Stay sharp. The world moves fast and so do we.